Hello there, my very good friends. The Royal Rumble is in the rear view. WrestleMania is like 2 months away. We're going to predict the card coming out of the Rumble, starting off with the Intercontinental Championship match. Mr. Bronifin Breaker versus Sheamus himself. I think that this is obviously Sheamus' quest to finally win the Intercontinental title has been a longer ongoing thing, going back to even his rivalry with Gunther. And obviously they've had incredible matches, those two in the past. But we've already seen an appetizer of what we can get from Sheamus and Bron Breakker. And I thought it was bloody awesome. So I think that you ultimately have to pay off the Sheamus story, right? You can't tell this Grand Slam quadruple crown, whatever they call it these days. You can't tell the story of that chase without paying it off in the end.
Or winning it at, like, no offence, but a Saturday night's main event.
Exactly. Although, adding a bit of stakes to a Saturday night's main event might not be a bad idea. But that being said, I think WrestleMania is the best place to do it. Look, it's Sheamus. He's in his mid to late 40s, but he still rocks. I wouldn't be making this argument for him to beat Bron Breakker or even wrestle Bron Breakker again if he was like some old has-been. He's not. He is still incredible. Let's do it.
There is a reason they keep coming back to this match, whether it be these two or like Ludwig Kaiser involved or what have you. But he's obviously had a number of shots at this belt. I'd add a little bit of spiciness to it by putting Sheamus' career on the line. Because, let's be honest, with or without his career on the line, you kind of know he's going to win it at WrestleMania because they've done this so many times that they wouldn't just do it again for him to lose on the big stage. But have Bron Breakker be like, no, I was done with you. The only way you get one more shot on me, your career on the line. You want to do this big thing to complete your career, well, you either do it or you're gone forever. And I just think it makes the most sense. And these two will kick the crap out of each other, as Sheamus likes to do at WrestleMania.
Absolutely. He's the only other Sheamus match I want more than this is Sheamus versus Jacob Fatu, brother.
And Sheamus versus Speed.
Oh, yes. Oh, God. Imagine that little twerp eating a brogue kick. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. Get well soon. Right, let's move on and talk about the Women's US title match at WrestleMania. It is the current champion, the only champion, Chelsea Green. But wait a second, who's that she's facing? Isn't that meant to be her head of security? Not anymore. Piper Niven betrays Chelsea Green, attacks her because, let's be honest, in her eyes at least, she is the person responsible for Chelsea holding on to that title, arguably winning it in the first place, with the numerous defences against Meacham, which have been loads of fun, to be fair. But Chelsea Green's more than ready to be a babyface, even if they haven't necessarily presented her as such just yet. She's received that way anyway.
Especially in the Rumble. Like, big time.
And, Piper Niven, I think, is fantastic and would play this role perfectly.
Yeah, definitely. So I think for me, this is a more of I think this will happen rather than I strictly want it to happen. Someday, eventually. But I'm really enjoying the double act. Like, I like Piper Niven wearing the big coat, coming in the room, making sure there's no threats in there, checking her earpiece, all that stuff.
What was it she said the other week? She walked into a room with Meechin and B-Fab in there and said, definitely no threats in this room.
Just burying people along the way. But it's the bodyguard bit is a really good bit. And I would actually like to see Matt Cardona added to this equation.
Oh, yes, please.
And Piper is still the muscle for the group. I think that's a really fun dynamic. But that being said...
Matt Cardona's press secretary.
Book it right now. Yes. Well, I mean, WWE would be even richer if we had the pencil, brother. They don't know what they're missing.
Yeah, exactly.
But with
they have good themes if we did it as well.
Well, that's another big step. Check out this morning's news video. But yes, I mean, they heavily teased it in the Rumble, obviously, with Chelsea's elimination. So I do think they're going to go down that route, even if personally, maybe I would wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think it's going to happen.
Fun. It's fun, though, isn't it? It's good stuff. Right, my next prediction for the card. Who's Rhea Ripley wrestling?
Ooh.
It's Io Sky.
Yes.
So they teased this on Raw this week. Rhea kind of choosing revenge at the cost of Io getting a win and qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. So, like, maybe things don't add up entirely with regards to who wins the Elimination Chamber and all that stuff. But they might do a second chance match.
I was thinking this.
They do that quite often. So maybe Io could get her way in that way and then win the Chamber and then face Rhea at WrestleMania. She already has a bit of reason to want to fight Rhea Ripley, not just because she's got the belt, but because she cost her the match on Raw, which was the qualifier. So there's juice there already. Also, from an in-ring standpoint, who's complaining about this?
Yes.
Like, who isn't looking at this and going, oh my goodness, that is absolutely incredible. I think that The Rhea Ripley is a really good base. She's obviously her style is more power than speed and stuff like that. Whereas Io, I think Io is one of the best wrestlers in the world.
She's awesome,
but she's really fast and she can fly like anyone. So their styles mesh really, really well. I think that this could probably steal the show.
Yeah, personally. I agree. They've sort of, as you mentioned, tested the waters with this on numerous occasions. There was that bit a while back where they both picked up the world title at the same time. And yes, things could change with regard to Charlotte Flair, who we will get into in due course. But it feels like if you are sticking with the original plans for Charlotte with regards to her going to SmackDown and fighting Tiffany Stratton there, which, as I mentioned, we'll get to in a second, I think Io's the best choice. Like, yes, there are fans out there that would love to see, myself included, Rhea Ripley versus Jordynne Grace, but by all reports, that's not going to happen. Jordynne's going to spend some time in NXT. Not that she needs it, but it's also another huge match you've got in your pocket. And this one would, like you say, steal the show. I think it's a great shout, and I agree. Yeah, I think you do the whole thing of like, well, the men's doesn't have a second chance because John Cena just declared for it, but for the 6th spot in the Women's Royal Rumble, have Io Sky in there. Maybe like Raquel's part of that like last chance match, and she's tasked by Liv Morgan. Make sure she doesn't get in there, and oh no, she does. Io Sky in a title match at WrestleMania always delivers.
Really good.
Right, let's move on and talk about a non-title match that got a lot of people talking immediately afterwards, after the Royal Rumble, because it's Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. It's not a nothing match, but I can understand the frustrations of those involved, and this is nothing against Damian Priest, but obviously Drew McIntyre had a phenomenal year last year and was hoping for bigger things. That being said, the matches we've got to come in the men's division do kind of justify this is the best you're going to get, mate. It's either that or winning the Andre.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
Whereas, and I think it was, Sidgwick and Hamflett spoke about this, of what they should do, or what I hope that they do, is they take this match, which they may perceive as a nothing match, of just like, well, I screwed up the spot in the Rumble, and we were both world champions, and now we're just going to have a singles match at WrestleMania. Take that as inspiration, go out there and put an absolute banger on it, because I think they can.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, the way we covered the report where it was, the perception of this as a nothing match came from within and all of this stuff, and like I disagree. Damian Priest is a former world champion. He's a pushed guy in WWE. It's not a nothing match. It's not as big as it could be for Drew, though.
No. And
Drew, in my opinion, was the best men's wrestler in the company last year. Him versus Punk was split loyalties for me because I love them both.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to go for the Scottish guy at the end of the day. So I understand the frustrations, but I actually like this. I like reports getting out of this, and guys aren't happy with their spots at WrestleMania, because that shows they're hungry.
Yeah.
It shows they're ambitious.
Absolutely.
They want to be the best. They're gunning for the top spot. That's what wrestling's all about, baby.
Yeah, and as well as that, like, presumably they wouldn't be getting sort of 20, 25 minutes on a WrestleMania card. It is jam-packed, and they've got adverts to get in as well. So if you get 10 minutes, just drop bombs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see, a bit of limb work there.
Yeah.
Just south of heaven, Claymore, let's see who's still standing at the end of it.
Do the exact same layout as Seth versus Drew from last year.
Yes.
Bombs everywhere. I don't want to see no collar and elbows. Just, drop each other all over the place.
Yeah,
It'll be a good time.
Smash the place up.
Anyway, in the words of Def Rebel, coming up next, here comes the Queen, Charlotte Flair. She's going to be wrestling Tiffany Stratton.
Yes!
For her belt on this show. That's the direction I think they're going to go. I mean, it follows the reporting.
Yeah.
The reporting all along from various sources has been that it's going to be Tiffany versus Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Who's the babyface?
Who is the babyface? Ask. In Charlotte's head, it's probably her in every match she has.
Yeah.
But
not in the audiences.
Yeah, so Charlotte's play for sympathy on Raw this week did not go terribly well.
No.
I think that was a bit of a misfire. That being said, look, if they just configure the alignments the right way, this will be good. I think that the best Charlotte matches are when she goes toe-to-toe with people who can match her physically, people who can take a lick and give it back.
Yeah.
And I certainly think that Tiffany's capable of that. Tremendous athlete before joining WWE, so she's got that background. If Charlotte Flair comes and hits her with a badass forearm, she's going to throw one back, baby. I'm not saying it's like Kawada versus Masala or anything, but she can give and take as well. And you just got to get those alignments right, because I think they're both better as heels. We've not done Tiffy time as a babyface yet. might be worth giving it a try because Charlotte certainly is a better heel.
Yeah, this is not one of those matches that we're mentioning, and we've booked nothing but huge matches on this card that could well steal the show. And I know a lot of people were upset with Charlotte Flair winning Women's Royal Rumble match. I was absolutely fine with it because it justified this match, which I think, as I said, is going to be absolutely sensational. And it's real simple, innit? Like, you just have Charlotte Flair go to SmackDown. I'm going to derail another one of your NXT favourites.
That might happen tonight.
That may well happen tonight. I'd like to see it, if I'm perfectly honest, because I just think it makes the most sense. Charlotte Flair, as we've said, is one of the best heels ever in the women's division for me, and it's just too difficult to try and force through her being a good person. You've got like... How many title reigns under your belt? 15 or whatever?
This is it. And she did go through injury hell, and I feel...
Absolutely.
I feel that was probably a very trying time for her, so good on her. Getting through it.
She doesn't need the merch sales, does she?
She doesn't need the merch sales, and she's better as a heel, so...
And Tiffy has proven herself, obviously not just on NXT, where she was brilliant, but now coming up to the main roster, winning Money in the Bank, etc., etc. She beat the bully, Nia Jax. She beat Bayley clean. It's just so much more simple if you have her as the baby face.
And, in recent interactions with Rhea Ripley, people have been desperate to cheer for her as well. So
everyone's ready for Tiffy time.
I want the Tiffany Stratton Rhea Ripley tag team, man. That would be so silly.
Give them time as well.
That would be so silly.
Give these loads of time. Yeah, that would be really... The Barbenheimer tag team.
Yeah, it's a perfect description.
Right, let's move on to a match with another sort of blurred lines with regards to who's the babyface, who's the heel. It's Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso, the other winner, of course, the Royal Rumble very recently. A real surprise, but then you look at that reaction he got on Raw and you went, oh no, that makes complete sense. Yeah. Why did we never just pick him as one of the favourites? He's called his shot again against Gunther. And I just think it makes all the sense in the world. Gunther is perfect for this role, as we saw against Sami Zayn, for example, last year, but also saying on Raw he's going to put Jey Uso down like a diseased dog. Look, is it going to be a 5-star classic? I suppose it depends how you rate it, because Dave uses his phrase of like, it's over in the building. This is going to blow the roof off the sodding place.
He gave the first one 4.5, brother.
Yeah.
That's a whole star more than Punk versus Joe.
Is it going to be a technical classic? No. Is the crowd going to be losing their minds? Absolutely. Gunther is so good at crushing the hopes of your favourites and then showing that tiny like weakness, and suddenly there's Jey Uso super kicking his head off. This is going to be just bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the Jey Uso hate is really forced. I think it's really over the top, and it shows that there is a huge disconnect between people who get angry about stuff on Twitter and Reddit and people who are actually going to shows in the buildings. This guy's a huge merch seller. He's universally adored by people in the crowd. The yeet is incredibly fun to do live. I'm a 37-year-old man in Vegas. I will be doing the yeet all over the place. I don't even care. At the end of the day, Jey Uso is incredibly over. How could you not watch that Raw segment and feel good for that dude? He also resonates as a really cool guy, which helps a lot. And at the end of the day, look, it's not going to be Omega Okada 7 or whatever, but all it needs to be is pretty good, right? It just needs to be pretty good, and a Saturday night's main event, it was pretty good. Yeah. So it's not going to be Jay versus Jimmy 2, where it's super kick, super kick, super kick, narrative, super kick.
Yes.
It's going to be a good match, because Gunther doesn't have bad matches.
Just chopping his face off.
And Jay's going to win the belt, and everyone in the stadium's going to be really happy, and you're all going to go yeet.
Just maybe don't have Lil Wayne do the entrance this year.
Oh gosh, yeah. I forgot Lil Wayne existed until he showed up there. That was something.
What are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
What's happening?
There have been worse live performances. Imagine get Def Rebel in live. That'd be.
Yeah. Or what's his name? Hardy could come back. Not Matt. Jesus Christ.
Hardy.
You're next, aren't you? What we got?
So let's kick this up a notch.
Go on.
Let's bring in
the big names.
The number one guy, as he calls himself, Roman Reigns.
Who's he facing?
Seth the Chef, baby.
Yes,
Seth
makes sense.
So, a lot of talk that maybe it's going to be a triple threat with Roman, Seth Rollins, CM Punk. We have obviously gone in a different direction here. As you can see, I think this is more compelling. I think that when you try and combine these two stories, or the three stories, CM Punk and Rollins and Reigns and Punk, into one, it becomes less compelling than doing them separately. So, someday, yes, do Punk versus Rollins again someday. Yep. Do Punk versus Reigns again sometime in the future, but for now,
would you like to print some money?
Exactly. What we do, it's a money-making business, baby. Maximize your output. Put these guys, split them up for Mania. You haven't done this in high-profile situation in a while. This pairing here. And in character, Roman Reigns has absolutely had enough of this little twerp and his and his fancy suits and his all of his stuff. He was dressed as the Undertaker on Raw, for goodness sake. He was like drippy Undertaker. It's a perfect character dynamic. They've got oodles of history, obviously. Do it one-on-one, especially after Seth getting totally twatted by Roman last year. It's perfect. I like it.
Like you say, it's just so much cleaner, I think, this, and you're not burning through a variety of different matches just to kind of cram everyone on the card. We'll get to what CM Punk is up to in a second or two. But, I think the story is right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, Seth Rollins is the person that Roman Reigns simply can't get over, whether he's a heel or a babyface. You shouldn't have split up the Shield, mate. I bloody hate you for that. And, their match a while back at the Royal Rumble was loads of fun, and they didn't have a definitive outcome there because they were protecting Roman Reigns' title reign, let's be perfectly honest. Look, I think when we were sort of speculating on the WrestleMania card, especially when The Rock was going to be involved, Seth was the one who was going to miss out, I thought, in all of this. So I think him versus Roman Reigns in terms of a recovery is just unbelievable. And if you're not putting... does that main event one of the nights? I don't know.
It could. It certainly could. Maybe our plans for John Cena. Is that next? Is that what we're talking about
No, before
next?
we get to him, it's another, weren't you best mates and now you despise each other story. It is, of course, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. It's just... If you've not gotten out from in December, every year put them on the WrestleMania card because they just are the best at, being seven bells out of each other and also telling fantastic stories. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn was there for him when he nearly died at the Royal Rumble with that ladder spot, and yet in his twisted brain, he's there going... You didn't help me win, though, did you? And then you're there shaking hands with CM Punk on Raw. I might be crippled after that Royal Rumble match. I'm still going to kill you. This is a story that will... it's the match and storyline that never ends, isn't it, for WWE? And for good reason, because it never fails. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn would just be the perfect culmination for what these two have been working through. They always get back to it eventually, don't they?
Yeah.
And I would also do that again with the world title later on in the year, perhaps with Mr. Money in the Bank Sami Zayn, although I've seen people speculating that he could win the Saudi Rumble as well, of course. But never mind about worrying about WrestleMania 42. This for WrestleMania 41 just makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Look, they've been doing this for decades. PWG, Ring of Honor, Steen Jericho, Ladder Wars, Fights Without Honor coming to WWE. On his first night in the company, Kevin Owens kills this man on the side of the ring. They've main evented WrestleMania as a tag team. They've had singles matches here, there, and everywhere. They had one at WrestleMania a few years ago. They've probably wrestled each other about 400 times.
Yeah.
At any point in this rivalry, has it felt stale to you?
No.
Not once.
Never.
Not once. It is a unicorn in that sense. It's the thing that should not be. You should not be able to work with each other so prominently and for it to be always great, and yet here we are. They're two of the all-time greats, two Hall of Famers. This is one of the things I'm anticipating most.
And this never-ending blood feud, it can't be refereed by a normal referee. You need Johnny Knoxville for this.
Way to hammer home the serious tone. I love it.
He's got a mousetrap. Whoa!
We've got something very unserious next.
Yes!
Because absent from our card so far is Mr. John Cena, the man with the best bald patch in the West. And we're not booking him in the world title feud, folks. We're swerving you. He's not winning the Elimination Chamber in our world. He's facing Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I've had it in the comments, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go. So, generally, in pro wrestling, burial promos are not a good idea, right? I love them. They're very entertaining. But objectively, if you are telling the crowd that your opponent is a useless piece of crap who can't get it done, if you beat him, well done, you beat a useless piece of crap. And if you lose to him, you are the useless piece of crap all of a sudden, right? So, and Cena's done it before.
Yeah.
Austin Theory, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. It's very entertaining. I enjoy them, but it's not a good idea. This is the one situation where I think it might be a good
Logan
idea.
Paul's the exception to that rule.
Exactly, because when John Cena does not respect a man, he will bring the shovel, brother. And listen, Logan Paul, if John Cena gets on the mic and asks him about his time in Japan or his adventures in the crypto space, I think we could be in for a very entertaining time. On top of that, it is the epitome of like a big, bombastic, silly WrestleMania kind of.
Yeah.
Logan Paul's not really a celebrity wrestler anymore. He's just a wrestler.
Yeah.
But obviously he's a celebrity too. But it fits the WrestleMania mold perfectly, and I think that it would be silly and good.
Look, are we sat here saying that John Cena shouldn't win his record-breaking world title this year? No. I'm just saying he shouldn't fight for a world title at WrestleMania, because I think this is the story you tell throughout the year, as we've mentioned numerous times. He's in the Rumble, fails there. Chamber, fails there. Arguably even Money in the Bank fails there, and finally gets it done on the big two-night SummerSlam eventually. But for the time being, personally, I have bigger and different and better, in my opinion, plans for Cody Rhodes, who we'll get to next. And I just think Cena, Logan Paul, yes, it's a non-title match for him at WrestleMania, but you can tell the story of Logan Paul costing him the shot at in the Elimination Chamber. So I think that just writes itself, to be perfectly honest. It's not difficult to see which way crowds would lean on this one, and the fear of John Cena can't lose his last WrestleMania match, and especially not to this dickhead. I think it brings everyone together really nicely, and I think if you're not doing John Cena in a world title match, I think this is arguably the next best option, because he can't move the way that he used to, but Logan Paul sure can.
And John Cena sure can smile. So there we go.
Prime's delicious,
Yes.
and you can have a ruthless aggression version or whatever.
Swipe your hair
Doctor
back.
of Thugonomics going after Logan Paul as well.
Oh my gosh. Jeezy peeps, that's a great idea.
Hello, I'd like to report a murder. Right, let's get to the main event, the big one. Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. Look, guys, if we've learned anything from AEW, when you have the opportunity to do a big match, just do it, especially when it involves Phil, just in case. And I know, right, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, look at that sort of dynamic. It works so well, and yes, you can do that. I just think this makes the most sense because you get everything you could have wanted. Like, it's the biggest match. If you're not having The Rock involved, it's the biggest match you can do for Cody Rhodes, in my opinion, at WrestleMania. Yes, you can do the trilogy with Roman Reigns, but that's always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
CM Punk wants a WrestleMania main event. Give it him. Like, he's proven himself in terms of being a good boy for the past year or so within WWE. And you only need to look at the reaction to the moments these two have spent together, whether it be before the Royal Rumble last year, where CM Punk pretty much called exactly what happened to Cody Rhodes, and then the build to the Rumble, which made everyone think, well, Punk's obviously winning that, and then subsequently, you know, he's punched his ticket to Elimination Chamber. I'd have him win the Chamber. I'd have him go, call his shot, say he wants to face Cody, because it's just such a fascinating setup, because you think, well, Cody's never losing this belt, basically. Yeah. He's just so awesome as the guy within WWE. But it's Punk. He'll just be happy to have the main event, but I've no doubt that he wouldn't mind winning the world title as well, and so many different directions you can go with him following that as well. But also, like, the fascinating thing going into this is not deep down, that sounds bad actually, they both have an element of being a little sneaky bastard, don't they? Let's be honest, right? Cody has shown that mask slipping somewhat in recent months, particularly in the Kevin Owens feud of, I'll hit a crossroads onto a chair. Yeah, I'll celebrate over your corpse.
Well, Alabama slam you from the ladder. And
Punk could just think, I've done it before, I'll just go heel. But I can't wait for both of them to be heel, to be perfectly honest. And you could even do a match where neither of them turns heel, but it's the biggest match on the biggest stage. It's the main event for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Every single way. I think the John Cena world title thing should be a longer term thing, and that's why he shouldn't win Elimination Chamber and why CM Punk should. CM Punk, if he's going to face Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, he should do that in individual singles matches later in the year, in my opinion. That's how you stretch this thing out and make as much money from it as possible, baby. In the meanwhile, Cody versus CM Punk. Look, it was very high on a lot of people's lists when these two guys were in AEW for a brief period of time together. It's now very high on everyone's list in WWE because they've had two absolute dynamite, pardon the pun, in-ring promo battles that have been just absolutely incredible. Also, one major positive of this feud is that it can't really be a feud where CM Punk's opponent goes, "You left here and I stayed." Yeah. Because Cody left as well. So, we're going to get some fresh material guaranteed, which in my view is a really good thing. I'm bored.
I loved that. I'm more, CM Punk than you are, and I'm more dusted.
Yeah. There's a lot
more American Dream than you are.
There's a lot of juice you can squeeze from these fruits. But yeah, I'm with you. This should be the main event. This is the one. It's the only one, in our opinion. But let us know what you would book for WrestleMania, what you think WWE will book as well, down in the comment section.
Or if Dwayne will just blow up the whole thing.
He could wake up on the 18th of April and go, "Hunter, brother, rip the card up." You never know what Dwayne's going to do. That insecure, silly man.
I love it.
Me too. But thank you for tuning in. You're going to enjoy this video right here. Some more wrestling silliness from your friends here on the internet. See you later.
Bye.